Now, Hamtramck in Michigan is America's only city with a fully Muslim council. Not so long ago, Liberals celebrated it as a bastion of multiculturalism. However, with the city's new leadership taking anti-LGBT measures like banning pride flags, its progressive credentials have somewhat nosedived. Well, GB News' US correspondent Stephen Edgington took a trip to Hamtramck. It's a difficult word to say. Well, he took that trip to find out exactly what is going on. Let's have a look at the clip from one of his special reports.
When October 7th happened, this massacre of Jews last year, what was your reaction?
My reaction was, I heard about it in the media, and I don't really, I don't typically believe the official narratives that I hear in media. How many of them were killed by the IDF?
Well, they were killed by Hamas.
That's what's alleged.
You think the IDF killed their own people?
I think absolutely. Some of the people were killed.
Why would they do that?
At minimum, friendly fire. At minimum, but there are those that are of the view that many of them were killed by their own side.
But Hamas were celebrating it. They were putting out videos of them killing these Jewish civilians and saying it was a great thing.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, I don't.
Interesting. Well, this is a full documentary available now on YouTube, so as soon as we end the show, why not have a little look? But Stephen joins us now. And Stephen, what did you make of Hamtramck? Is Islam really America's last hope?
That's a good question, Tom. That's certainly one of the things that an imam told us in this documentary. And that was actually in Dearborn, just down the road from Hamtramck. So you have these two cities in Detroit, in Michigan, which are majority Muslim, majority Arab. And in the case of Hamtramck, in 2021, the Muslim Council, it became fully Muslim. So for the first time in American history, a local government, every single member of that government was a Muslim. And since then, the government has passed a series of very controversial laws. First of all, banning LGBT flags on government buildings. Now, I and many conservatives may support that as seeing kind of an anti-woke measure. But obviously, local liberals in the town have become very upset. The former mayor told us that LGBT people no longer feel safe in Hamtramck. But another law that they've done is they've allowed for animal sacrifice in people's residential homes where they can sort of slaughter goats and things like that. And one person actually told us that they found a goat carcass in their rubbish bin one day. And interestingly, this issue has been very controversial in America because just a few weeks ago, there was a rally very close to Hamtramck in Dearborn, as I say, where Muslim activists were shouting "Death to America." Now, they were pro-Gaza protesters. And this was one of the things that I asked people in Hamtramck was, what is your response to this chant, "Death to America"? What do you think about that slogan? And I think we've actually got a clip here of what one of the responses from someone in Hamtramck said to that. In Dearborn, just down the road, recently there was a rally which went viral across America because you had people shouting "Death to America." What do you think about that chant?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm black. You know what I mean? It's like, I come from a people who were forced to be here, you know? I think a lot of Arabs were not brought here through the slave trade, but were forced to be here because America bombed their countries to smithereens. Because what is America, right? It's like the center for genocide.
So there you have it, Tom. One of the responses from a local liberal person who worked in a tattoo parlor who openly was supporting this "Death to America" chant. Absolutely extraordinary. We did interview local Muslims and imams as well. By the way, none of whom supported the "Death to America" chant. One of the imams did say he didn't like America very much, but all of them basically said Islam is a religion of peace, it's a religion of life, it's not a religion of death. But at the same time, you have these local liberals, some of whom seem to be supporting these terrible anti-American slogans. So I think there was a real irony that we found in Hamtramck and Dearborn, where the Muslims were saying one thing and then you had the liberals saying something else, where you would have thought it would be the other way around.
It is absolutely fascinating to see people who would scream from one end of the earth to the other about a conservative, for example, banning an LGBT flag, but then cheer to the rafters the election of an all-Muslim council, which then does exactly the same thing. I've got to ask you, Stephen, are there any women on this council?
There was a woman on the council, there isn't now, and the woman, interestingly enough, was a Polish woman. So Hamtramck used to be a Polish-American town, very much dominated by that immigrant group, until recently, where you have Yemeni Muslims who have flooded in recently. So they did have a Polish woman a few years ago on the council, and she was actually a convert to Islam. However, she since left the council, she resigned under some very interesting, I'd say rather dubious circumstances. We heard from various people in the town certain rumors as to why that happened. Some people were linking it to this idea that she didn't sign an anti-Israel letter that some of the other council members asked her to sign. Maybe there's another reason. So it's quite interesting, this issue of women in Hamtramck, for sure. There's definitely controversies around that. Some people told us about the fact that 7-year-old girls are wearing burqas. You know, you walk down the street of Hamtramck, an American city, you would never think to see such a sight. I mean, we saw people wearing burqas everywhere. And another thing people were complaining about was, you know, just generally the social aspect of how women are treated in the family. So one person was saying, well, we see women, the mothers, kind of in the back of cars where the sort of younger sons are in the front. And maybe that's a bit of a social status thing, I don't know. But certainly this issue of banning the LGBT flag on government buildings, as I say, many conservatives, I think probably rightly, support that ban because they want to keep government buildings impartial. They don't think they should be promoting LGBT propaganda and so on. And I know that Michael Flynn, who's a sort of former advisor to President Trump, actually came to Hamtramck a few months ago and met with the local mayor. Now, it's interesting as well, this local council and the mayor have also been accused of sharing anti-Semitic and frankly racist social media posts. So there's a lot of different angles going on here. You have the conservatives supporting them for some things, the liberals saying that it's great because it's all diverse and everything else. But then also there's the issue of radicalism, anti-Semitism and so on.
I didn't know that the definition of diversity was all men of one religion with a conservative Abrahamic faith, seemingly squeezing out all sorts of other diversity. It's an absolutely fascinating report that you've done, Stephen. Highly recommend checking it out on the GB News YouTube channel. Thank you very, very much for joining us.